Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 193.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
Okay, so we're going to pick up kind of like right where we left off, but not really. We're just going to jump forward some time, jump around, and give you guys some more of the live events. Hopefully, or at least the numbers tell us, you guys tend to like these. So here we go again. And again, just as a reminder, if you're some concepts that you hear and you're trying to get some of the pieces filled in and you want to know more about it, feel free to pick up a copy of Cashflow Diary, 10 Steps to Creating Wealth in Any Economy. Just go straight over to cashflowdiary.com/free book or send a text message to send a text message to 72,000. The keyword is book. Either way you go, it's going to get you there and fill in those blanks. Here we go.
Then you need investor leads. Somebody's like, show me the money, right, Doris? Like, where's the money? Right? Where is it? Here's the thing. Too much money is also a problem. You're like, not for me, right? But I have run into a number of individuals who, for whatever reason, don't need any more money, don't want any more money. In fact, in one of the, I think is, Sandy, can you find the, I think I just did. Nope, I did not. It's the now, yesterday, tomorrow, etc. money page. I just don't remember. Oh, there it is, 64. I talk about 4 different types of money. And there's really 4 different types. There's money that's allocated towards yesterday. That's called debt. That's where it goes. You spent it already, you earn it today, and it goes to the past. You got today money, that's usually our expenses, electricity, food, etc. Got tomorrow money. This is typically that retirement, or I'm saving for something in the future. And then there's this really big bucket of money out there called never money. Money people never intend to really spend. It's there, but you're just not asking for it. It's there. How many of you have ever heard of a family office? How many of you have not? Yeah, excellent. See, we're still getting there. So for those of you who know what a family office is, should the ones who have not heard of a family office and are looking for money find out what a family office is, yes or yes? Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not going to tell you, so now you have to talk amongst each other and figure out what a family office is. See, that's me on purpose. I'm doing that on purpose. But there's lots of money that exists out there that's never intended on being spent. And you need to figure out how to put yourself in front of it to let people know, hey, I can solve your problem, because that money still needs to earn a return, preferably higher than inflation. And we've already discussed what that's going to take. And you need to make sure that those people know that you exist. That's the challenge. The reason people aren't lining up to help you with your deal with their money is because they don't know, A, you need it, B, who you are, and that you can actually solve their problems. I got my first, I'd say, $5 million of private capital, 100% from retirement plans. That was like my secret, is retirement plans. Because one of the great things about the ERISA Act of 1974 is it said that you have the ability to truly self-direct. Not what Charles Schwab, T. Rowe Price, et cetera, tell you can do, but that you could actually take those retirement plan funds and put them in an investment that you control or have more direct or closer access to. I thought that was awesome. So I'm going to give you all a free lead right here, something I recently discovered, and I can't solve the problem myself, but I know if I tell you, some of you, maybe one of you, will actually go do something with it. You ready? Mm-hmm. Doris, this is for you. Okay? How many of you know someone or are willing to go find someone who works at the company Verizon? Verizon. okay? I recently found out, and I'm so excited about it, is that is that a small company or a large company? Large company. So there's a lot of people that in their retirement plan documents for Verizon employees, they have what is known as an in-service distribution, i.e., they can actually take money out of their retirement plan self-directed without quitting their job. I was excited. They actually have it. It's one of the largest companies I found thus far with that provision. I think it was up to $100,000. So just get 10 Verizon employees together, and you could have access up to $1 million. Make sense? Simple. We're just solving problems left and right today, aren't we? This is fun for me. All right? The only reason that you won't now act on that is because you choose not to. Yes, go ahead, Dave.
Don't you, when you do that and you invest in real estate, don't you have to have, I don't know, it's like an SEC filing or something like that? It's just little things that I've heard through your podcast and everything.
Oh, you're listening to my podcast?
Of course, man.
God bless you. Awesome, thank you.
Things like that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
Got it.
about it, but...
Is there paperwork involved when raising capital? Yes. Are you the one doing it? Shake your head, no. Got it. So here's how I like to look at it. You need an architect and you need a general contractor, right? So the architect draws up the plans. The general contractor actually builds what the architect drew. Architect over here is usually the tax code or a new device that I created called the Profit Analysis Quadrant, which you can read about. It's a device that I use to actually structure deals. You take that structure, send it over to the attorney. He or she puts it together and says, here, this is the way you can raise your capital. Make sense? Please, don't make it more complicated than that. Because if you do, your head will explode. It's not good. Just let the attorneys do what attorneys do, which is build the structure, okay? So you're absolutely right. But in general, what you're going to do is you got to round up the people because the attorney's not going to do that. You got to explain to them the plans. And then you've got to get all of those people over to the attorney simultaneously and say, hey, here's what we want to do. And he's going to go, is that what you guys want to do? Yes. Cool. Well, let me write it up and I'll get back to you in forever. And then you guys can get your deal done. In general broad strokes, that's what it comes down to. All right? The point is, I'm just trying to now make what you thought was either impossible more probable so that you can see it's not that a job that you need. You just need a different way of looking at things. So when it comes to investor leads, again, they're there because there are people who are out there looking to put their income or their monies to productive use. This, number 4, you've got to become an expert in your area. And when I say expert, you could also put the word resource. People need to come to you for something. Some of you, people come to you for all kinds of things. Some of you, they come to you for relationship advice. That's called a clue as to how the marketplace sees you and what value you bring to it. If you want to do this real estate thing, you need to figure out a way to become an expert in an area that other people want to hear from you in, whatever that might be. So when you do that, you, as you can see, establish credibility, you're contributing to solution, you become a resource, you show your character and competence. There are only 2 things necessary, specifically as it relates to raising capital, 2 things necessary, character and competence. That's all you really need to demonstrate. You can demonstrate character by doing the same things and showing up as the same person every time anybody sees you. That tends to demonstrate character. Competency is what happens once you open your mouth. Hopefully, once you open your mouth, you have something good enough to say that becomes valuable to people in a very useful way. Again, because of today's technology, we have reach of all kinds, and you can reach people in various different ways. The number 1 most fun way that I have found to reach people is through the cash flow board game. It's the number 1 thing I've taught a number of people how to do in various different marketplaces, and it uses what we call ARB. ARB stands for Accelerated Relationship Building. Accelerated Relationship Building. Sandy, never mind, I have one. I'm going to teach you an accelerated relationship building technique that you can use right now, tonight, that will help you get more appointments and close more deals faster. How many of you are interested in hearing something like that? How many of you would rather take too much longer and make no money? Okay, I'm just asking, because understanding accelerated relationship building will help you to close deals faster. What is this? Business card. Really, it's just a piece of paper with a whole bunch of colors on it. It's no big deal. But yet, most of the time, we treat this as if it's the magic thing that's going to get deals done. Okay? So I'm going to show you an accelerated relationship building technique that will help you tonight to leave here with more appointments and get deals done faster. I need one volunteer. Who would like to be that person? Come on. The dude in the back, what's your name?
Orlando.
Orlando, excellent. Everybody say, welcome, Orlando. Awesome, thank you. Thanks for participating. You have no clue what's about to happen?
No.
Okay, excellent. He's like, no, this is good.
Can I sign a waiver?
No waiver needed, no waiver needed. All I need you to do, and I want you guys to watch, all I need you to do, because this is going to happen to you tonight, all I need you to do is to ask me for a business card.
All right.
Okay?
And scene.
Scene. Yeah, that's right. There you go.
Hey, can I get a business card?
You know what? I'm curious. Why do you ask?
Well, because I might have some referrals for you. Or,
Referrals? What kind of referrals? What are you thinking?
Well, really?
See, I'm messing with them.
That's a great question.
Here's the point. When someone asks you for their business card, they're asking for a reason. The challenge is you don't know why. And you give it to them, and then they take it. Now you can take it.
Okay.
Thank you. They take it, disappear off into the sunset, and then they put it on their desk when they get home next to the 2,000 other business cards that they have neatly organized with rubber bands around it in the corner of the desk. How many of you know exactly what I'm talking about? Exactly. And then nothing ever happens, or if it does happen, what happens is you go, should I call him the next day? I don't know, is it too soon? Or, you know what, I'll wait. And then you wait. And then what happens is then you finally call them back, and then they don't pick up. And you're like, oh, God, what do I say? How is that going to work? And then you keep calling, and then they call you back, and then you call them back, and then before you know it, 2 weeks goes by, and then you finally get on the phone, and you go, hi, do you remember me? And they go, have no clue. Where did we meet? And you're starting all over from the beginning anyway. And then when you do talk, you set an appointment for another week out. 3 weeks have gone by. You met 3 weeks ago, and you're finally getting to the first meeting. They asked for that business card for a reason. Your challenge is you don't know why at all. The reason I do that is because, one, by having it, did you see what he asked me for the card? I started handing it to him, and then I said, you know what? I'm curious. Why do you ask? Because that's what I need to know. I got referrals for you. If he's got referrals for me, when do I want them? 3 weeks later or now? My point exactly. I just saved myself 3 weeks by making sure I ask one additional question to develop the relationship a little bit more. That's all I had to do. That's all you have to do. Now, see, some of you, you're going to try to do this tonight, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. But that's okay. The point is you're going to get to the end point faster. And if you do that every time, what ends up happening is you end up with more relationships than you could possibly service and handle. Yes?
What happens in the case where you do that and the person you're asking gets offended for you to ask, or for you?
Got it. She's like, what happens? Okay, so this is when fears come up. Right? And that's fine. What happens when the person is asking and you do that and they get offended? I'm going to tell you why they won't get offended. When we are emotionally involved in seeking a solution, we want the solution at any price. We don't care. Have you ever gone to the emergency room and asked the doctor, hey, now mind you, you're bleeding. Doc, before you touch me and stop my bleeding, can I please see what your GPA at college was? You ever ask for that? No. You don't care because you have a problem. As far as you can tell, he looks like the solution. So please help. When someone is asking for your business card, that is the moment. What they're really saying is, I think you might possess a solution that either I need or someone I know needs. And you need to find out why. And you need to find out right then. There is no better moment. Because if you don't, you end up in that 3-week cycle, and hopefully maybe one day you get an email from them saying, hey, do you remember me? That's really how that goes. When you do that, what ends up happening is relationships get built faster. The cash flow game is one of the fastest ways to do that. You spend 2 to 3 hours with people playing a board game. I know it sounds crazy, but it's worth the investment. I teach people a system where 6 weeks from complete stranger to check. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions in my case, have been raised from doing that very thing. Obviously, books help establish credibility. Many of you, I guess David here, listens to the podcast. I'm actually now kind of curious that you said that. Does anyone else listen to the podcast? Yeah, really? Cool, that's neat. I never know who I'm really talking to. It's just the podcast in iTunes. Who knows? We have a number of social media aspects. You've got your website. You got all of these things. But let me ask you a completely different question. How many of you have been wondering why I'm wearing a USA basketball shirt today?
Why?
Good. I'm going to show you another way that I have found that works very, very well to position yourself as an expert, i.e. solution provider, for a very hyper-specific group of individuals. Now, if I said the name to you, Michael Jordan, how many of you recognize that name? Got it, excellent. If I said the name to you, Blake Griffin, you recognize that? Okay, good, excellent. Kyrie Irving, yes, still good, excellent, perfect. But if I said to you the name Wendell Jordan, does that ring a bell right now? No, probably not. One of the unique things is by positioning yourself as a solution provider, I'm saying, hey, those of you with money that don't have the time or desire to figure out what to do with it, here's a possible idea. How many of you think sports professionals have money? Hold on. He says, if they don't blow it. How many of you think many of the sports professionals in that community are aware of the tendency of blowing it all? Yeah. So in the same way that a baby boomer might be concerned about outliving their money, might a sports professional be concerned about blowing all of their money away? Hopefully. That is the key, that they're concerned. Exactly. So who do you know that has ever said to a sports professional, before you give me any money, let's play a game and let me educate you on how it works? Suddenly, it's clear, right? Suddenly you're like, I want to play a void game. I don't know, And that's why we do those types of things. Now, obviously, those are high school kids. We've done it at high school levels, but I just came back from Colorado Springs working with our men's USA basketball. In this case, it was our men's junior national team. They played today in the games in Argentina. They totally trounced Puerto Rico, 109 to 54 or something. It was nuts. But you got to understand, these 15-year-old kids, the tallest was 7'3" at 15, and I was the short guy in the room. I know that sounds hard to picture, but not really, right? If you think about it. So, but many of them, our men's national junior national team, a good percentage of those in a couple of years, you will hear their names because they end up getting drafted. Literally, especially those that made the team. Let me give it to you a different way. You said you knew the name Blake Griffin, right? Blake Griffin wasn't good enough to make the team. But does he play professionally? Yeah. I'm trying to give you a perspective. So if we plant the seed early, Here's what you might want to do when you start getting a check for, I don't know, $100,000 every 2 weeks. Do you think that could help? Does it take a lot of them to make a difference in your life? No, it doesn't. You need maybe one player to go, okay, this is a good idea, right? And that's what I'm trying to impress upon you. Here are the words that in order to make this work, you must subscribe to this philosophy. Instead of trying to lead with your yellow letter and telling people how much money you can make them and all this other stuff, you educate to dominate. Period. Serve first. Be willing to be the one who serves first, longest, and the most. Period. And at some point, it comes back. I promise. It just does. I don't know why. I don't know how it works. I don't really care. I have so much fun doing it. It doesn't really matter. Serve first. I have very little shot at earning any money from any of those kids in that particular video. But that's okay. Because now the world knows that, hey, here's a possible solution. In fact, the entire USA basketball knows, you know? And you realize that part of USA basketball is obviously our men's pro athletes, right? And that becomes a relationship. And that's the thing you've got to, inside the basketball world, specifically community, there are questions from the players to the coach or the trainers, hey, things like, hey, I finally saved $1 million in the bank. What do I do with it? That's a problem. That's the question. Does coach necessarily have a person that they can send them to? Maybe, maybe not. But what if you were that person? Make sense? That's what I'm trying to say. Plant seeds in your local area, plant seeds in your community, become known as the person who can solve that problem, and now you've got a referral, which is way better than anything else you can think about.
So here's the thing. Many of you, you're listening, you're like, well, I want to make money yesterday. Totally understood. This is a farming game, not just a hunting game. The hunter goes out and, yes, says, I want to eat, goes out, shoots something, comes back home, boom, done. Transactional businesses out there totally can happen for you, but let's play the long game. Let's play the long game. If you want to fill in some of the spaces between how to make that happen, feel free to pick up a copy of the book, Cash Flow Diary, 10 Steps to Creating Wealth in Any Economy. Again, send a text message to 72000-72000. The keyword is book, or go to cashflowdiary.com/free book, and we will do our best to take care of you. Now, in this next piece, I'm going to introduce to you some concepts that are going to help you become one of the best people in your marketplace, to where people want to refer you and understand that you know what you're talking about. I'm going to share with you the inside tips about a tool that I created that many have been using successfully now for a while, and it has helped them grow their business. So pay attention.
Then you've got to follow up. You got to follow through. You've got to do those things. You've got to have that individual conversation, and what I call becoming a pig. All right? Yes, that's right. I said pig. Professional information gatherer. That's what you've got to learn to do. Become a pig. Gather information. Listen more than you speak. Men, listen more than you speak. Now, some of the wives wish, dang it, I knew he should have been here tonight, right? Because that's where the solution is. People always ask me, Jay, what do you say? What do you say? What do you say? It's irrelevant. It's what you ask. That's what I study. I study questions. I love great salespeople because they ask questions. I will go to a car lot on purpose to study the questions they ask me. I will go to a timeshare presentation on purpose to study the questions. Because, hold on, you laugh, but let's think about this emotional scenario. Who's ever been to a timeshare presentation? Like, ever? Oh, good Lord. That's awesome. All right? So, get this. Let's see if this was your experience. Because you got to go with the significant other, right? You got to go with someone else. Otherwise, you can't come. Got to go with someone else. So, when you're in the parking lot, before you get out, You turn to each other and go, okay, we're not buying anything, right? And they go, yes, okay. You get out the car, you walk in like this. And then something magical happens over the 90 minutes because you walk out like this. And you have no idea what happened except that you are $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 lighter than when you walked in. Questions are the answers. They definitely are the people you should be studying, okay? Because if you become a professional information gatherer, the world begins to open up to you. Let me give you another crazy example. QVC and HSN. I watch and study those too. Why? Because you've seen it. They've got something on the screen, and you're looking at it going, God, people buy that? And if you make the mistake of staying on the channel just a second too long, you find yourself going, well, you know, I could use that in the kitchen. That's not so bad, is it? And it's only 3 easy payments of $97. That's not, I could kind of make that. Do you get my point? It's another system to study because they are talking to that reptilian brain and helping you separate yourself from your money in a very strategic way. They know what they're doing. And we can learn. And we can use, now, raise your right hand. Seriously, I need you to raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I, state your name. I promise to use all of these Jedi tricks only for good. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Because they are something like Jedi tricks if you think about it. It's really interesting how the mind works. Let me give you an example that'll probably help you in your relationship tonight. If I said to you, and I'm doing this on purpose, I absolutely can't stand the Lakers. Who just got offended? You know what they want to do? They want to argue with me and prove why I should. That's exactly what they want to do. It's a simple concept called pendulum theory. If I take the no position and strongly, in order for there to be parity within the conversation, you have to take the yes position just as strongly as I take the no position. Here's another way of looking at it. The next time you are arguing with your spouse, well, obviously none of us here have that issue. Never. But the next time that an argument wants to happen, try these words. You know, honey, you're right. It's done. You're like, but I was ready. They spent all day building their case. Yeah, you know what, honey, you're right. Suddenly all that energy goes where? Gone. Dissipates. But when you take the strong no, someone automatically takes the strong yes. It happens. It's just weird in so many ways. So let me give you a different way of approaching people. One of the things that I would really like, let's assume that I'm talking to a person, is that had the ability to do this. I would really like to be able to find a person to give me and I'm going to be somewhat ridiculous but actually accurate, an $800,000 loan on a property that I just got an appraisal for $1.6 million. But I'm guessing absolutely nobody would want to earn a 10 or 20% return, right? How many of you thought of somebody just thinking about that idea? You're like, no, I do know someone. And if you are that someone, how quickly are you willing to say, no, that's me, right? Because they took the strong no position. So what does that mean when you've been jumping up and down going, look, you got to buy this one's great? What does that mean by default? I've got to take the strong no position. And now you have to convince me. All of those things wrap and play into why it becomes difficult to get a deal done. It's because you're dealing with a person who is at first emotional, then logical. And you've got to hear that. And the only way you're going to get to the answer is to ask questions. Step 5, there's a concept that I call investor identity. And it's simple. This is back to the whole quartz and granite question. I look at real estate in a very small, simple way. For example, how many of you are familiar with the store by the name of Walmart? Yes, good. How many of you know of this other store by the name of Target? Like, heard of it? Yes, excellent. How many of you are hyper familiar with one of my favorite stores? I call them Nordy's or Nordstrom. Yes, excellent. And you realize that all three sell very similar product? That's not new. It's not even news. They all sell shoes. Yes? Now, did I say go buy your shoes from Walmart or Nordstrom? No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying they all sell similar product. When Walmart sells a shoe, do they make money? What about Target? What about Nordstrom? So it's not about money. So please stop asking the question, which real estate transaction makes money? All of them. The difference is who they serve. When you go to Walmart, what do you expect? What do you expect? I'll tell you what I expect. I expect it to break, and they're pretty good at it. Right? Whatever it is. Now, when you go to Target, what do you expect? About the same. He said about. I expect a clean floor and a Starbucks. That's the difference. Everything else is the smell of popcorn. Right, that's it. Now, when you go to Nordstrom, what do you expect?
Good return policy.
Good return policy, service. Can we just call that everything?
Quality product.
Right? And they each deliver on that customer experience in their own way. So the true question is which headache do you want to deal with? Because have you ever tried to return something to Walmart? Isn't that a different experience than trying to return something to Nordstrom? That's how I fell in love with Nordstrom, by the way, is through their return process. Because I had I wear a size 15 shoe. That's code for I don't normally find anything off the rack, okay? But they had it in stock, and it wasn't the orange polka dotted one. And I'm just like, this is great. What's that?
Their business was founded on
great. I was excited about that. And then but because I went to Nordstrom, did I pay Walmart prices or Nordstrom prices? Exactly. So I had an expectation of this, and the shoe started falling apart way too soon, and I'm just like, this can't happen. But having grown up, anytime you try to go to Walmart to return something, what must you have with you? Receipt. And can you have worn that item? No. Did you at least need the original packaging? I had none of that. And people were saying, go to Nordstrom. I'm like, but you don't understand. I don't have the receipt. I don't have the I wore these. I'm like, are you sure? Because I never had this experience. I go to Nordstrom, and you should have seen me. I show up with a Stater Brothers grocery bag in the shoes. And I'm trying to please don't think I stole these. Please don't think, you know what I'm saying? I don't know really what's going to happen here. And I'm telling the guy, stammering, he's like, do you just want to return the shoe? I'm like, yes. He's like, oh, okay, no problem, sir. I was like, sir, who's he talking to? And he starts, fumbling on the computer and whatnot. And then he says, oh, I'm sorry, sir. And I was like, uh-oh, here it comes. We don't happen to have any in the store right now. Do you mind if we send them to you? Do I mind? I have a choice? No, I don't mind. And do you know, not only did the shoes show up, but it was the right size, it was the right make, it was the right model. And I'm just like, oh my God, this place is awesome. Because they treated me that way. It's just the shoe at the end of the day. Same is true for your real estate. There's Walmart real estate areas, there's Target real estate, and then there's Nordstrom real estate, and each has a customer expectation. Each. Some of you know a lot about Nordstrom real estate. Let me give you an example. you actually think an accent wall is mandatory. You must have a pool, right? The idea of a Nordstrom real estate problem is something like this. The tenant calls you and says, well, you see, when I come home, I press the clicker and the garage door doesn't go up. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to send someone over to fix it. What's likely the problem? Garage door opener. Thank you. But somehow, it is beneath them to replace that battery. And their expectation is that you send someone over there immediately to make that right. If you cannot treat that properly as an emergency as they see it, you are not a Nordstrom investor. Does that make sense? I am not a Nordstrom investor. I do not see that. I'm like, take your butt down to the store, get a battery, you're good, right? Why do I need to pay a trip charge plus now the battery's $40, right? Why do I need to do that? See, over here in Walmart world, it's a different kind of problem. It sounds like, you see what had happened was, that's how it starts. I woke up and the garage door was gone. I can treat that as a problem. The garage door's gone. Makes sense to me. Works. I know how, I got systems for that. See, there are systems over here, just like there are systems over here. It's just different systems to be able to serve a particular customer. And that's why investor identity is so important. Because what happens specifically with Californians, we have the money and we go, ooh, this one's only 50 grand. I can buy 12. And then you get the tenant and you go, you don't have a checking account? How is that possible? You have no idea. You can't tell them how to get a money order. In fact, you don't even know where a money order place is for them. You don't have the systems in place and you don't relate to them. And that's the problem. Then all of a sudden you have this experience like, I cannot believe they wanted 2 pit bulls in the house. Well, duh. If you lived in that neighborhood, you probably want a pit bull too. You know? Those are the things that I'm talking about. And if you're not suited to serving this customer, you have a bad experience. And the converse is also true. You are used to Walmart and you end up coming over to Nordstrom and you just can't serve them properly. And this is no more true than when you're hiring your team, specifically your property manager. So let me put it to you this way. If I took the Nordstrom sales associate and made them work in Walmart, how would that work? Not well. It would not go well. What if I took the Walmart greeter and put them at the front of Nordstrom? How's that going to go? It's not going to go either. Well, what do you think happens when you take the property manager with the lowest price and put them in front of your high dollar property? You just did the same thing. And the converse is also true. Greg, pay attention. You take the Nordstrom sales associate and you put them in Walmart, and all of a sudden, everything in the house is broken, needs to be fixed, and it needs to be made with granite. Everything. In Walmart, it needs to be functional. Period. Functional. That's it. Suddenly, your operating expense ratio goes through the roof. Cash flow disappears. They don't know how to find a tenant because all they think they're supposed to do is put up a sign and people show up. That takes a lot more work than that over here. A lot more. They don't get it. They don't know how to operate over here. 2 completely different systems. And we make that mistake because we don't understand investor identity. Worse, when we're raising capital, the person we're working with has an investor identity too. Compound that with certain marketplaces have an identity. You want cash flow, but for some reason you think the heart of Orange County is where it's at. Like, really? Cash flow? Yeah. No. That's not what Orange County is known for. Does that make sense? Yeah, right. It's appreciation, right? It's growth, not necessarily income. And we make these decisions because, I don't know, it's next door. Okay, that's great and all, but that's not going to achieve your financial target and your objectives that you're trying to get done. and then you have another bad experience. And you've got to understand those small details. When you're going through the process, you got to use a way, and this is the thing you've heard people say, you can do a deal on the back of a napkin. But the challenge is nobody ever takes the time to show you how. No one ever takes the time to show you how. So I had the same problem. So what I had to do is figure out a way to do it, and then I've now written about it. This is literally, I've taught a lot of people how to raise tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, dare I say millions of dollars on the back of a napkin, and they do it consistently all the time because we don't know how to have that conversation to people. Either way, one of my favorite places to do this is actually Starbucks. I have closed more business at Starbucks than I care to remember or imagine. In fact, they should really charge me a whole lot more than $5 or $4.95 for the coffee because that's literally where I do it. And it's a way to explain and display your competence, explain your deal structure, because many of you think 50-50 is somehow equal. They're putting up the money and I'm doing the work, and you think 50-50 is how you're supposed to split it. And you don't even realize what 50-50 means, let alone how much you've given up. And most of the time, you don't even have to give up 50% to be able to give them the type of return that they're looking for. So let me ask you a question. How many of you love the show Shark Tank? Right, I do too. I consider that more education than entertainment, right? And you realize that most of those deals, they're giving up less than 50% of the company in order to get 100% of the capital that they need, right? So there's a very simple example. How many of you always wonder, what is Mark Cuban or Barbara writing down on their notepad? You ever like I want to see what they wrote, right? That's why the profit analysis quadrant exists. They're writing something down very similar to what I've designed because they want to understand, okay, cool, here's where we are, here's where it's going to be, here's what I could possibly make, here's the offer I'm willing to do. Based upon what you're telling me, here's the offer that I'm willing to make. And that's the key to understanding it. If you don't, you end up giving away too much money. That's how I found out. I had so many deals. I had done, 100, maybe more. And then my CFO sat me down and said, if you had done it this way, you could have made another 10 grand. If you had done it this way, and she just kept doing it. I'm just like, oh God, this hurts. And instead, I just learned how much money I gave away. I mean, obviously the investors were happy, but I'm just like, man, I didn't need to give all that away to get the actual capital that we needed to actually do it. And understanding how to do that and closing on what I call closing on concept, as opposed to trying to go through 100% of the details, realize people don't buy the way you buy. They don't always need to know, for example, I don't need to know how electricity works in order to buy a lamp. I don't really care. I just want to buy a lamp. I don't need to know how a car works. I have an idea. I put the key in. Well, today you kind of just press a button. But, right, I know where the gas is. I might know where the oil is. If I look it up on YouTube, though, I can find it, right? Those things exist. That's all I really need to know and point it in the correct direction because the GPS tells me where to go, right? That's really how it works. Most people don't purchase the way you purchase. And we're talking way too much when it comes to our deals and talking ourselves in and out of them in the same conversation. We don't even realize it.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to say. What you've learned, I am just going to flat challenge you to go do, period. Go do it and send me an email saying, Jay, it doesn't work. Tay, I did exactly what you said and it doesn't work. That would be an amazing thing for you and for me to see. Anyway, it's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.